Upon hearing the name Cleopatra, an image of a captivating ancient Egyptian beauty likely springs to mind. She's the legendary seductress believed to wield an almost mystical power, reducing great men to their knees. She was an Egyptian queen born around 69 BCE and passed away on August 30 BCE in Alexandria. She's well known in history and stories for her relationships, first with Julius Caesar and later as the wife of Mark Antony. Despite her legacy, which has endured for over 2,000 years, Cleopatra remains one of the most misunderstood in history. Did you know that she faced some tough times in her life? Her brother, Ptolemy XIII, kicked her out of power, and she had to flee Egypt to save her life. Cleopatra resorted to cunning strategies to maintain control, even orchestrating her ally Mark Antony to order her sister Arsinoe's execution to secure her path to power. This video, carefully curated by People Journals, aims to dispel misconceptions and reveal 10 astonishing facts about the remarkable Queen Cleopatra you likely never knew. Before we journey into the details, kindly show your support by liking this video and subscribing to this channel for exclusive access to the historical journals of great people. Number 1. Cleopatra was not Egyptian. Contrary to popular opinion, Cleopatra was actually of Greek origin. She hailed from the Ptolemaic dynasty, a Greek Macedonian ruling family that came to power in Egypt after the death of Alexander the Great. This dynasty, founded by Ptolemy the Soter, ruled Egypt for nearly 3 centuries. While Cleopatra was born and raised in Egypt, her cultural and linguistic background was rooted in Hellenistic Greece. Cleopatra was fluent in several languages, including Greek, the primary language of her dynasty, and Egyptian, Aramaic, and Latin. While Cleopatra embraced many aspects of Egyptian culture and religion during her rule, such as presenting herself as the reincarnation of the goddess Isis, her Greek heritage was undeniably a significant part of her identity. Fact 2. She was a product of incest. Cleopatra's lineage involved a practice considered weird by modern standards: incestuous marriages within the Ptolemaic dynasty. The Ptolemies, who ruled Egypt for several centuries, practiced sibling marriage to preserve their Greek bloodline and consolidate power within the family. Cleopatra herself was a product of this dynastic tradition. She was born to Ptolemy XII Aulet, commonly known as Ptolemy XII, and most notably, she was the product of his union with Cleopatra V Tryphena, his sister. This means that Cleopatra's parents were siblings, which makes her a direct result of an incestuous marriage. Fact 3. Cleopatra was not drop-dead gorgeous as commonly depicted. Beauty is undoubtedly very subjective, in that what you consider strikingly beautiful might be described as relatively average by another. Based on Egyptian history, Cleopatra was undoubtedly pretty but not a supermodel. Most portraits of her reveal someone with an average-looking face and hooked nose. Much of what we know about her beauty comes from later Roman historians and playwrights, such as Plutarch and Shakespeare, who may have exaggerated her beauty for dramatic effect. Perhaps what could have been considered super attractive was her unusual intelligence and great political influence. She would often present herself in lavish, exotic attire and makeup to reinforce her divine status as the reincarnation of Isis. Fact 4. This exotic queen was known to be a bookworm. Contrary to the popular image of a seductive enchantress, Cleopatra was, in fact, a bookworm with a voracious appetite for knowledge. Cleopatra's affinity for literature wasn't merely a personal indulgence, but also a strategic role in her political endeavors. She recognized the power of knowledge and used it to her advantage in diplomatic interactions. Cleopatra possessed an extraordinary breadth of knowledge, excelling in diverse fields such as chemistry, economics, mercantile strategy, military theory, law, and linguistics. Notably, she was the first pharaoh to address the various peoples of her expansive empire in their native tongues, showcasing her fluency in as many as 10 languages. Sadly, this aspect of her life isn't quite popularized. Instead, several literatures have promoted the narrative of her various love affairs rather than her intelligence academically and politically. Fact 5. Cleopatra was obsessed with strong-scented perfumes. Cleopatra's obsession with strong-scented perfumes can be inferred from her lavish lifestyle and desire to be alluring and memorable. Perfumes in ancient Egypt served various purposes beyond mere adornment. They were seen as a form of protection and a symbol of status and sensuality. It was said that wherever she went, the scent of her perfume strongly filled the atmosphere and lasted several minutes. Cleopatra's special perfume likely came from Mendes, a bustling place in the Nile Delta known for trading spices from India, Africa, and Arabia. Historical figures like Roman philosopher Pliny, the Elder, and Greek physician Dioscorides praised Mendesian perfume as the best of its time, almost like the Chanel No. 5 inches of ancient days, according to archaeologists who studied its recipe. Because there are no complete Egyptian records about this perfume, archaeologists had to rely on Greco-Roman writings to figure out what it was made of. They found that it contained 4 main ingredients: resin and myrrh, which are aromatic substances, cassia, a less strong type of cinnamon, and balanos oil, made from the seeds of the Egyptian balsam tree, which grows in northern Africa and the Middle East. This combination resulted in an oily, textured perfume that lasts way longer than perfumes nowadays. Fact 6. Cleopatra had a hand in the death of her 3 siblings. Indeed, intoxicated by power, she never hesitated to eliminate anyone who threatened her political authority. Cleopatra's first sibling to meet an untimely end was her younger brother and co-ruler, Ptolemy XIII. When their father, Ptolemy XII Auletes, died in 51 BCE, Cleopatra and Ptolemy XIII were named joint rulers of Egypt, per their father's will. However, their cooperation was short-lived due to political and personal differences. Cleopatra, seeking absolute control of Egypt, fled Alexandria after a dispute with Ptolemy XIII. She then sought the support of Julius Caesar, who had come to Alexandria in pursuit of his interests. Cleopatra's alliance with Caesar led to the Alexandrian War between 48 and 47 BCE. During this conflict, Ptolemy XIII's forces clashed with Caesar's troops. Ptolemy XIII drowned in the Nile River while attempting to escape the battle. Although Cleopatra was not directly responsible for his death, her actions and alliances were instrumental in his downfall. After Ptolemy XIII's death, Cleopatra's sister, Arsinoe IV, threatened her rule. She even went as far as organizing a rebellion against Cleopatra, which greatly angered her. Arsinoe was then taken into captivity by Caesar's forces. In 46 BCE, she was paraded through the streets of Rome during Caesar's triumph. Despite being paraded as a captive, Arsinoe was not executed in Rome, likely due to her young age and the political complexities of the time. Arsinoe IV was eventually allowed to return to Alexandria, Egypt. At the time, Egypt was under the nominal control of Cleopatra and her ally Mark Antony. At the request of Cleopatra, Arsinoe IV's fate took a tragic turn. She was put to death within the sacred precincts of the Temple of Artemis at Ephesus on the orders of Mark Antony. Ptolemy XIV, Cleopatra's younger brother, became her co-ruler and husband, a political union intended to strengthen her position in Egypt. Julius Caesar arranged their marriage to maintain stability in the region. However, Cleopatra's affair with Mark Antony eventually took precedence over her marriage to Ptolemy XIV. Ptolemy XIV's death in 44 BCE remains shrouded in mystery. It is widely believed that Cleopatra may have been involved in his death, possibly through poison, to clear the way for her relationship with Mark Antony. Fact 7. Cleopatra had a drinking club. You heard right. Cleopatra's popular love affair with Mark Antony eventually led to the formation of a secret drinking club where they could both give in to their desires. Cleopatra's union with Mark Antony was, in part, a calculated move to secure her rule in Egypt. She needed Antony's military support to safeguard her crown from rival factions in Rome, particularly from Octavian, who was consolidating power in the western parts of the Roman Empire. In return, Antony sought access to Egypt's vast wealth and resources to fund his military campaigns. The couple's extravagant lifestyle and love for revelry led them to form a drinking society known as the Inimitable Livers. This group comprised Antony, Cleopatra, and their closest friends and confidants. The Inimitable Livers were known for their nightly banquets, during which they indulged in food, wine, and entertainment. One of the most interesting aspects of their relationship was their love for playing pranks on the unsuspecting residents of Alexandria. They would reportedly disguise themselves and roam the city's streets, engaging in playful interactions and sometimes mischief. Fact 8. She had 4 children, but only one survived adulthood. Cleopatra's first child was the son of Julius Caesar, Caesarion. His birth in 47 BCE marked a significant moment in Cleopatra's life as it solidified her alliance with Caesar. However, Caesarion's fate was grim. After the fall of Cleopatra and Mark Antony, he disappeared from historical records. It's possible that he was harmed because of political schemes when Rome transitioned from a republic to an empire. Cleopatra's second child, Alexander Helios, was a twin born in 40 BCE. He was one of Cleopatra's sons with Mark Antony. His name, son, reflects the hope and grandeur of his parents' ambitions. Unfortunately, his fate is uncertain as historical accounts diverge regarding his life and death. Some sources suggest he died young, while others suggest he may have survived into adulthood but remained obscure. Another daughter of Cleopatra and Mark Antony, Cleopatra Selene II, was the twin of Alexander Helios. Unlike her brothers, she had a more documented life. After the defeat of her parents, Cleopatra Selene II was taken to Rome, where Octavia, the sister of Augustus, raised her. She later married King Juba II of Mauritania and played a role in the politics of North Africa. Cleopatra's fourth child, born in 36 BCE, was also a son of Cleopatra and Mark Antony. His fate remains unclear, much like that of his brothers. Historical records provide little information about his life. He likely did not survive adulthood. Fact 9. Cleopatra was the last pharaoh of Egypt. Indeed, Cleopatra VII Philopatra was the last pharaoh of Egypt. Her reign marked the end of the Ptolemaic dynasty, which had ruled Egypt for 5,000 years since the death of Alexander the Great in 323 BC. With her death in 30 BC, Egypt became a province of the Roman Empire under the rule of Octavian, later known as Augustus. This marked the end of Egypt's long history as an independent kingdom. Cleopatra's legacy endures not only as the last pharaoh of Egypt, but also as a symbol of intelligence, ambition, and political savvy. Her story has been immortalized in countless works of art, literature, and film, solidifying her place as one of the most intriguing figures in ancient history. This ushers us to the last but most captivating fact. Fact 10. Cleopatra's tomb has never been found. In the words of archaeologist Kathleen Martinez, who dedicated over 20 years of her life to the search for Cleopatra's tomb, Cleopatra outsmarted the whole world. Cleopatra's tomb mystery has captivated historians, archaeologists, and treasure hunters for centuries. Cleopatra's final resting place remains undiscovered despite numerous efforts to locate it. Historical records about Cleopatra's burial location are inconsistent and sometimes contradictory. Some sources suggest that she was buried alongside Mark Antony, while others propose that she was buried with her ancestors in a Ptolemaic tomb. This lack of clarity makes it difficult to pinpoint the exact location. However, some Egyptian archaeologists and historians have claimed to have discovered her burial site recently. This site was estimated to be in Taposiris Magna, a region 18 miles from Alexandria. Without a doubt, Cleopatra has her name etched in history, famous for her intellect, wit, political ambition, and of course, sensuality. She stands out as one of the most feminine women who ever lived. Thanks for sticking patiently till the end. If you were intrigued by our top 10 facts about Cleopatra, please like this video and share your thoughts in the comments section below. Also, kindly hit the subscribe button for more historical videos. See you next time.